I also have Loretta Lopez, who's our program coordinator with the Arts and Culture Commission. So with that, we're going to get started. We have recorded, we have transcription and closed captioning. So we're going to get started. So good morning again, everyone. My name is Jennifer Fukutomi-Jones. I'm the Principal Arts and Culture Administrator with the City of Glendale Library Arts and Culture Department. We are all here for the Creative Crosswalks Request for Proposals pre-proposal meeting. So this is a partnership with the Library Arts and Culture Department, Public Works Department, and the Arts and Culture Commission. So on the screen, the Library Arts and Culture Department and the Arts and Culture Commission are requesting proposals for the commissioning of professional crosswalk and intersection mural designs throughout various locations in the City of Glendale with the intention of enhancing traffic safety in creative ways. So in June of 2023, the city launched the pilot Creative Crosswalks program, and examples of these are on the screen. So on the left-hand side, we have a beautiful design entitled Jewel City Rug by R.P. Nishad Bandarian on Broadway and Galleria Avenue. And on the right-hand side of the screen, we have Chemical Stain by App Lab, which is located on Broadway and Columbus Street. These projects are in partnership, as I mentioned before, with the Public Works Department. And the goal is incorporating civic art into daily life. Artists and our artist teams are encouraged to submit proposals for the Creative Crosswalk program, and we'll get started on the locations and projects under consideration. In regard to proposal details, stipends range from $1,000 to $15,000 depending on the project. Applicants will only submit design concept renderings under proposals for each project. The stipend does not include artwork installation, and the actual installation of the artwork will be installed and are painted by an approved public works contractor, and we'll go into more detail of what that means later. But on the right-hand side of the screen, you'll see kind of a description of how the other previous Creative Crosswalks were installed within the city. The first project under consideration is Artsock Avenue between Harvard Street and Wilson Street. This is part of the Artsock Avenue redevelopment project. We are seeking 11 crosswalk mural aerial proposals and or one intersection mural area for consideration, which would be located on Artsock Avenue and Broadway. The artist stipends for this project range from $1,000 to $15,000, $1,000 per crosswalk design, and $4,000 per intersection mural design. And for exact locations, you can refer to Exhibit 1 in the request for proposals, which is on our website. So we're going to quickly go through the proposed intersections and or crosswalk areas for consideration. The first we'll discuss is Artsock Avenue and Wilson Avenue. This is one crosswalk mural area on the south leg, which is between Artsock and Wilson Avenue. You'll see the circle on the screen. The next is Artsock Avenue mid-walk at Wilson Avenue. So as we discussed, this is part of the redevelopment project for the street. So this is a smaller crosswalk area for consideration. The next is Artsock Avenue mid-walk at North Parking Garage. So similarly to the previous crosswalk area, this is a smaller location that's next to the North Parking Garage of the North Block. The next is Artsock Avenue and Broadway. So these are 4 crosswalk areas for consideration and or one intersection mural. So this is the main intersection for consideration. As you can see, all 4 crosswalks, west, north, east, and south, are under consideration, in addition to an intersection mural on the screen. The next is the Artsock Avenue mid-walk at the South Parking Garage. So now we're heading into the South Block. This is a smaller intersection, as mentioned below, as part of the redevelopment of the street. And the last is Artsock Avenue and Harvard Street, which are 3 crosswalk mural areas, the west, north, and east leg, which ends at Glendale Central Library on the left-hand side. So this is an overview of the project for Artsock Avenue. Next, we're going to discuss the San Fernando Road project between Highland Avenue and Colorado Street. And this is part of the San Fernando Road beautification project. 9 crosswalk mural areas are under consideration. Artist stipends range between $1,000 and $9,000, and it's $1,000 per crosswalk design. So for exact dimensions, you can refer to Exhibit 2 in the request for proposals, which again is on our website. Starting from the top, San Fernando Road and Highland Avenue, 2 crosswalk mural areas are under consideration, which you'll see on the screen. Next, we're going to move to San Fernando Road and California Avenue. 2 crosswalk murals are under consideration. Next, San Fernando Road and Wilson Street. 1 creative crosswalk area is under consideration. San Fernando Road and Harvard Street, there is one crosswalk mural area for consideration. And last is San Fernando Road and Colorado Street. There are 3 Creative Crosswalk mural areas under consideration, which are assigned on as the red circles on the screen. So as we mentioned before, the Public Works Department will be working with the approved contractor to install the actual murals onto the street. They use a process called preform thermal process. So on the left-hand side of the street, you'll see that they receive a stencil basically for the art from the artists. They will prepare the street, position the stencils on the street, as you see in step 2. And in step 3, they have a preformed heating process that they use to actually put the mural design onto the street. So if we have questions about that, Armin is on the line and he can definitely answer questions towards the end of the meeting regarding the process of installing the designs onto the crosswalks. On the right-hand side, you'll see the standard colors and premium colors that NS Flint and by PPG will be using for these crosswalks. So please keep this in consideration when you're designing your, preparing your designs for consideration to incorporate these colors. Last, we're going to get into the actual application process. So on our screen are screenshots from our website. There is an overview of the Creative Crosswalks program, and we're going to go a little bit into our guidelines and eligibility and the actual application. So on the right-hand side, if you click the button that says guidelines and eligibility, you'll hit a screen that has the screenshot on the right-hand side, which is the call for artists, locations and images. In addition to the call for artists is available in 5 languages. So there's English, Spanish, Armenian, Korean, and Tagalog. And if you click on those, they'll all translate into the call for artists. When you hit the Apply Now button, you'll hit this screen. If you do need the application to be translated, on the top right corner of the screen, you'll see a Translate button. And there's a scroll menu, and you can choose whatever language you need, and it'll translate the application into that preferred language. The application is on the right-hand side. It's a fairly easy, straightforward request for the application. It starts off mainly with the artist name, your address, your email, your contact information, phone number, and any social media handles that we can refer to your artwork. The next part is the proposal aspect. So we're asking artists to submit about a 500-word proposal of what your design represents or the motivation or creativity behind your design. The next is to upload documentation for what the designs look like. So we would recommend or highly recommend that the visuals that we provided for the crosswalks, as we mentioned it earlier, that you utilize those as your template so that the review committee can see your design on the actual crosswalk and what it would look like and how they can envision it. So we would recommend if you're applying for the Artsock Avenue project to save that all into one PDF, upload it, and make it super easy for the panel or the committee to review it all together. Similarly with the San Fernando Road project, to upload one PDF that includes all the crosswalk designs under consideration and upload that as one document as well. In regards to an artist statement, we recommend that you share a little bit about yourself and or your background. We also ask that the artists upload a resume or a biography so that we can learn more about you, and including artworks, links to your artwork and our past installations, and how did you hear about the call for artists. And that pretty much sums it up in regard to the actual application process. The deadline to submit an application for this program is November 17th at 5 o'clock. The website is on the screen. Our contact information is on the screen as well. And we are happy to answer any questions. So I can stop sharing for now. And then, Loretto, do we have any questions in the chat or that you can help share? I think you're on mute, Loretto.
Sorry, I was trying to unmute myself. Yes, we did get a few questions. So we did get one. When we have it, can we send the link to today's meeting so we don't have to go through the website? And I can say yes, I was the one who was RSVPing all of you who requested through email, and I would be happy to send out that meeting through email, and it will also be available on our website, as Jennifer stated. And another question was, does intersection mural mean the middle part? So I'm assuming the middle section of the street when there are 4 crosswalks.
Yes, that's correct. I'm going to try and pull up my screen again so that you can see. Okay, can everyone see this screen? Yes. Okay, so the intersection mural area is exactly what you think it is. It's this area in the middle. And this is the only intersection mural under consideration for any of the projects. So if you're submitting a design, it would be for this area only. If you're submitting a design for the crosswalks, it's these areas, north, west, east, south, these areas here. So those are two separate proposals.
Another question was, where can we download this document? And I believe that was sent when Jennifer was talking about the translations and the call for artists. That's all available on our website. And if you click on the button where it says call for artists or translations, it would lead you to a PDF and you can easily download that and have it for your reference and access it whenever you need it. And there was another one, where can we find these templates? I believe, Jennifer, when you were showing images of the different intersections and the templates, that's also available in our call for artists on our website. So again, you can click on the button on the site and download it as a PDF, and you can have that template available for you. Another question was, are we intended to submit for one crosswalk or a blanket submission?
You're welcome to do either or, especially since these are two larger projects. If you have one design that you envision would be throughout all 11 or all 9 crosswalks, you're welcome to share that. Or you're welcome to design a crosswalk for each crosswalk mural under consideration. So you can do either or.
Thank you. And another question is the stencil a printing process or paint?
It is a printing process, but Armin, would you mind jumping in and answering kind of questions about that?
Yes, these stencils are kind of a thermoplastic material that are prefabricated in sheets of 2 feet by 2 feet, like a tile, like a linoleum tile, if you're familiar, or any type of mosaic tile, but with a plastic material. They are already shipped to the job site, and then when the contractor prepares the floor, they install them like a puzzle, match the edges with each other, and then heat the surface. When they heat, the plastic melts into the asphalt and sticks there.
Thank you, Armin.
you. So another question is, will the designs need to be vector?
I believe that's preferred, but Armin, do you have a preference of how Public Works wants to receive the designs?
That's the preferred, but we can work with different file types.
Thank you. And another one is, as far as providing the large stencil, how do we do that? We'll be guided through this.
I think I'm trying to understand the question. So basically, you would provide your proposed design as part of the application process. It would be reviewed by an artist review and selection committee, and then our Arts and Culture Commission would review it as well and approve it. If that design is approved, we would then work with the Public Works Department in regards to the actual sizing of the specifications of the dimensions of the actual crosswalk mural area, and we would work with you, and the Public Works Department would work with you on the actual dimensions and specifications of that project. I think that's how I understood the question.
Thank you. Another one is there a limit to submissions?
There's no limit to submissions, but as I mentioned before, in regard to the Artist Review and Selection Committee, who are going to be reviewing all the applications, it would be great if you are applying for the ArtSoc, for example, if you're applying for the ArtSoc Avenue project, that you have all the designs in one PDF and use the templates or the visuals that we included as part of the RFP, the request for proposals, and make it really simple and easy to understand for the committee to review. We would not recommend that you submit visuals for each crosswalk and have multiple applications for each design. Ideally, you would consolidate that into one PDF or one uploadable document so that it would be really easy for the committee to review.
Thank you. And another is there a specific style or content that is preferred?
Specifically for the Artsock Avenue redevelopment project, we would recommend, due to the nature and the naming of the street, that we celebrate Armenian and/or Artsakh culture. But it's not necessarily required, but that would be highly recommended. For the San Fernando Road project, I don't believe there is any specifications on theme.
Thank you. And another
Sorry.
question. Oh, sorry.
One second. I want to just tag along to Jennifer regarding the limits of the color choose. We are not allowed to use regulatory colors, red, green, yellow, orange, anything that depicts of some sort of a traffic control device. And we have those details also in our RFP documents.
Thank you, Armin.
We have another question. Can we include religious logos like a cross or no?
My instinct would say no, because it is sponsored by the city and we cannot condone any religious and or specific religions as part of that. But Armin, I think that would probably be the consensus, right? Do we have any other questions, Laura?
Yeah. One asked, can you talk more about what is needed by the artist? You mentioned providing a stencil for install. So I guess they're asking if there's anything else aside from the design they need to provide.
I apologize. I missed the first part of that question because I had feedback. So can you repeat the question?
Yeah, no problem. Can you talk more about what is needed by the artist? You mentioned providing a stencil for install.
So I would tag team with Armin in regards to what's needed from the artist. Basically, the main thing that we need from the artist is the design proposal, which is what Armin was referring to, the stencil design. And we'll be meeting with all the artists who are approved for this project in regard to the specifications and dimensions for the project. And then we'll move forward with approvals for the actual stencils. But Armin, do you want to kind of talk about the approval process for the stencils?
Yes, once the design is approved, we're going to work with the artist to provide us a template that's going to be either a raster image file, either on a CAD or any art software that you are familiar with. We will provide our surveys, the actual field surveys, to the artist so they can work the exact dimensions in the field if it needs to be adjustments. Once the designs are ready, we'll provide those details to the contractor, and they are in charge of manufacturing the stencils and basically manufacturing the palettes, paints, everything in the field. So the main product from the artist would be the artwork in a file that's workable by the contractors. I hope I answered this properly.
Yes, thank you. Another question is, what is the spacing between each of the white lines in a crosswalk?
Armin, remind me, is that about 2 feet between each of the lines? And or I think another question would be good is, are there any crosswalks that require the continental and or zebra crosswalks design?
Pastor, you want to take a stab at that?
Yeah, so the spacing in the continental crosswalk, which is, we sometimes call them zebras. So the spacing between the zebra lines is 2 feet. And so that would be the space you have to work with. The space between the longitudinal lines, if we're talking about a crosswalk just with the two typical lines we're used to, you're typically going to have 12 foot between the lines, 10 to 12 feet depending on the layout.
I would also like to add that there is no limit for the Creative Crosswalks to have the white lines, the zebra lines that Pastor was mentioning in your design. If you have the zebra lines, if you don't have the zebra lines, you need to have two white parallel lines. Jennifer, would you be able to show the slide? So if you look at the design on the left, doesn't have the zebra stripes in between. If you don't have that, then you need to have two white lines that are the edge lines or limit lines we call. in your design versus the design on the right that incorporates the zebra lines. Then you don't have the limit line parallel the long ones, but you have to have the spacing of 2 feet on, 2 feet off. And each white line would be 2 feet by 12 feet length.
And also, I just wanted to clarify also, because there's a question regarding the colors. And I think red was mentioned, but essentially the colors need to be earth tone. So there are certain versions of, say, red, like clay or like a brick, you know, that could be used, but the emphasis is really on earth tones.
Okay, thank you. So we have another question. Would the PDF need to include the design on a white background and also one with the design on top of a photo of the crosswalk?
I would recommend both if you're able to, so that we can see clearly what your design looks like, in addition to, as I mentioned before, having your design inlaid onto the photos of the crosswalks that we mentioned earlier. So if both, if possible, but ideally putting your design onto the actual photo locations would be preferred, so that the committee really has an idea of what your design is envisioning like.
Another question is, can minors submit?
Yes, absolutely.
And do measurements have to be noted in the design?
The dimensions of the street are included in the RFP, so as close as possible. Of course, we prefer to have an exact dimension, but I would recommend to review the RFP thoroughly and the 2 exhibits specifically regarding the dimensions for the Artsock Avenue project and the San Fernando Road project.
Can it be a design that is 3D?
My instinct would say no, but I'm going to refer to our friends in Public Works. So Armin and or Pastor, do you have a thought on that?
Sorry, was the question is whether or not we can do three-dimensional?
Yeah, can it be a design
Correct.
that is 3D?
Well, there isn't a guideline that specifically says no, but there have been some crosswalks, for example, that simulate an obstacle or something, and that we don't want to do. I can't imagine a 3D object that wouldn't simulate an obstacle. So I would recommend staying away from the 3D element.
We have someone asking, are any of these crosswalks closed during art events and openings?
There's definitely a possibility for the Artsock Avenue crosswalks to be closed for consideration. I know there's talks of the design for the new design of the street to have bollards, so that there could potentially be events that take place on those North Block and or South Block areas. I don't believe there's any events and or proposals for the San Fernando Road. Armin, do you know of any? Yeah, okay, no. So mainly it would be the Artsock Avenue projects that would have road closures.
And this is kind of circling back to the question of, will designs need to be vector? Someone asked if we can explain what vector is.
Armin or Pastor, do you want to take that on?
Armin, can you answer that one? Is that an AutoCAD requirement that we have?
Any type of file that is not colored JPEG, that has raster work, any line work that can be translated into some sort of, I would say, laser cutting equipment or water jet equipment, that's the vector. But again, we are flexible. If the artists are planning to just design an artwork on a paper, we've seen projects that the contractors took like an art piece from an elementary school children's art exhibition, and they put it on the crosswalk. So it's doable. The vector file or line work is preferred. If it's a raster image or any other art piece, again, we can work around those too.
Okay. And someone asked, is the print 72 DPI?
Is that in regard to the stencil? If it's regard to the stencil, maybe Armin would have a better indication of the TPI, but I'm not quite sure what the question is.
Yeah, they didn't specify, but perhaps would be good to share about that in regards to the stencil.
I'm seeing yes, the stencil. So Armin, are there any specifications for the stencil and the DPI?
No, there is no specifications for the DPI or resolution.
Okay. And someone asked, what is the timeline of this project? When will we know if our submission was selected?
There's a timeline that's included in the request for proposals. Ideally, the submission process will close on November 17th. We will then meet with an artist review and selection committee sometime in December, and hopefully by January and/or February, we'll have the ability to share the proposals with the Arts and Culture Commission and inform the artists if they were chosen or not for the projects.
Thank you. And one question was asked, what are the reviewers looking for in an artist and in a winning design?
Again, this is included in the request for proposals, I believe, and I can bring that up while we're talking. But there's a delineation of how the criteria and the recommendations for what the review selection is committee looking for. But Pastor and/or Armin, is there anything you want to share while I bring that up, just to quickly? We can briefly move to a next question. I'm just going to pull up the.
No problem. So one asks, can you explain about the insurance requirements for the artist? That would come out of pocket, correct? That was what they asked.
Yes, artists are required to provide a certificate of liability insurance, additional insured. So you'd list the City of Glendale as additional insured, and a waiver of subrogation. We can send all that information to you once you're approved and chosen as an artist, and we can talk about the requirements of that agreement and the insurance requirements for that.
Thank you. And is the artist responsible for any maintenance of the installation?
Not that I'm aware of, but Armin and/or Pastor, do you want to share?
No.
And one asked, how is project budget determined?
The project budget was determined by both the Public Works Department and the Library Arts and Culture Department. The intention of the project budget is really for the design element. As you mentioned before, the Public Works Department will be taking on the responsibility of installing the actual murals onto the street, but it was determined by both departments.
Yeah, and someone, it seems like they're asking for more clarification on the colors. One said, can we use all of the colors in the proposal document? I see red and orange there. And someone else asked, can you show the colors again? Oh, you're muted, Jennifer.
Okay, I just said I'm trying to pull a few documents simultaneously, so please bear with me. But I think this is the image that you're referring to. The company that Public Works will be working with is NS Splint by PPG. These are the colors that that are under their palette. As Pastor mentioned, the recommendation would be within the standard colors. But of course, if you do need to, these colors listed below are available. But as Pastor mentioned, the recommended palette is under the standard colors and or the premium colors. This is all part of the request for proposals as well, and we'll send this document out to attendees and on our website as well.
Thank you. And someone asks, are non-citizens / international artists eligible to submit?
Yes, they're eligible to submit.
And kind of circling back to their insurance, someone asked, where do you get that insurance?
As I mentioned before, if you're chosen and approved by the committee and the commission to move forward, we can definitely discuss options of which how to attain that insurance.
And someone just wanted a clarification. Just to be clear, if we are submitting for more than one crosswalk design, it should all be in one application, even if it's for multiple crosswalks.
That is correct. Ideally, you would have one application that, as I mentioned before, has the multiple crosswalks within a PDF or a Word document so that it's very clear how you envision to have your designs incorporated into the street. We would not recommend that you submit an individual application for each design.
And someone asked, can we get the Pantone codes for the colors? I believe, is that in the RFP?
That the Pantone codes are not, but we would recommend to use the Ennis Flint PPG recommended colors. Armin, do you know if they have like Pantone codes for that? I believe those are just the colors that they provided, right?
Yes, no, we don't have the Pantone colors codes.
Okay, and someone asked, does anyone know how long those stencils, finished murals are staying clean and for how long they will be installed?
I'm going to defer to Pastor and/or Armin on length of the murals.
Well, I believe it's a pretty the actual product is long lasting, and so in terms of public works, when we put something in, really we want it to last a lifetime. Obviously, nothing will, right? But I think we're planning on getting somewhere around 10 to 20 years out of this material, until such time it needs maintenance and so forth.
Thank you. And someone asked, does the vector file have to be included in the PDF or can it be included separately?
It can be included separately. I'm going to briefly pull up a section from the RFP. I think someone had asked a question about the selection criteria. So this is again on our website as part of the request for proposals. Selection criteria is section 9. These are the 4 considerations for the design. So first is artist experience. The committee will consider 35% of the application on that. Proposal fit is 25%. So as we mentioned before, the adherence to the intersections and the crosswalks, the scale and the viewing of the installation. 25% of the consideration will be the audience, so the artist's versatility, sensitivity to social, environmental, historical context. As we mentioned there, the recommendation would be to submit proposals specifically for the Artslock Avenue project that would celebrate Armenian and/or Artslock culture. And local preference is 15% of consideration, so artists ideally that are local to the Glendale area or Los Angeles or Southern California area will potentially be given 15% of preference.
And someone asked, do we determine the budget for each application?
No, the budgets are set, as we mentioned before. The artist stipends are included. So like we mentioned before, $1,000 per crosswalk design. Those budgets are set, as I mentioned before, by the Public Works Department and the Arts and Culture Department.
Thank you. And someone said, will the artist get paid if their design gets chosen? The answer is yes.
Yeah,
And
the answer is yes.
how many art crosswalks have been installed in Glendale currently? Do you have the locations so you can go see them?
I gave those oh, go ahead, sorry.
Oh, I was gonna answer if you wanted me to. But yeah, we currently have 2 installed. One in front of the Glendale Galleria and Broadway, and one is just 1 street over west, on Broadway and Columbus. There you go. Yes, those are the 2 that we currently have installed. And you are welcome to go see them at any time.
I want to add some clarification for the question before that says, will the artist get paid if their design gets chosen? Yes, when the design gets chosen and almost it's manufactured and ready to install. So it's going to be an incremental process. Once the design is chosen, it's going to be a percentage. Once the contractor works with the artist and with us to have the shop drawings ready for manufacture, that's going to be a percentage of the work. And then at the end, once the product is put on the ground, it's going to be a full payment.
Thank you, Armin. I appreciate that. Yeah, he's absolutely right. It is an incremental process, and those are with the city, they're called deliverables. So there'll be deliverables that are associated with the agreement, and you'll get paid on an incremental basis based on your deliverable.
Thank you. One person asked if you're working as a team and alone, can we make one submission as a team and another one as one singular artist?
Yes.
Okay. And one asked, can we submit a proposal for both the intersection and the crosswalk?
Yes.
And someone was just curious for an update on the crosswalks at Adams Square.
I'm going to defer to Armin and our pastor. I think that those are potentially going to be installed in the spring, if I remember.
Yes, we have the plans, specs ready for advertise. We are planning to get into construction in a few months.
Yeah, we currently don't have any more questions in the chat.
Okay. Well, we really appreciate you all attending today's meeting. We're so excited to have such a robust group of people applying. We're eager to see all the proposals for consideration. We are going to include all these documents on our website, and we'll send it to all the attendees today. And we wish you all the best of luck. Any last words of encouragement, Armin, Pastor, or Loretto?
Just wanted to say thank you everyone for joining, and thank you Jennifer and Loretto for your help on this project. It's going to be an exciting project.
Great. Thank you so much. Okay, have a great day, everyone.